Great, thank you. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
No, hold on a second.
Can you hear me now? Okay, fantastic. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and esteemed members of the task force. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in today's discussion. Unfortunately, because of the time change, I will not be able to stay over for the question and answers, but I'm happy to share my testimony here and now. My name is David Price, and again, I serve as the Director of Racial Equity for the Los Angeles Civil Human Rights and Equity Department, where Capri Maddox is the Executive Director. Our department's mission is to maintain and strengthen the city's diversity, equity, and accountability. We are focused on reducing bias and injustices while also leveling the playing field through community engagement, through equity initiatives, and upward mobility programming. Prior to joining the LA Civil Rights Department, I served as the senior field representative for LA Mayor Eric Garcetti. I oversaw the Mayor's Interfaith Collective as well as the Mayor's Youth Council, and I organized and delivered city resources to many underserved communities. I worked directly with community leaders and community-based organizations to create a more equitable and inclusive LA. I am a native of South Central LA, and I hold a bachelor's degree in government with minors in African American Studies and Theology from Georgetown University. I also received a Master of Divinity with a concentration in religion, ethics, and politics from Harvard University. And in my testimony today, I will first discuss biases and the impact that it has had on Black Angelenos. Then I will focus on the contextual factors that contribute to the Black community being overrepresented each year as victims of racial hate incidents and hate crimes. And then finally, I will highlight the work that the LA Civil Rights Department has pursued in collaboration with community partners to eliminate hate and bias in the city. As many of you know, Los Angeles is one of the most diverse cities on earth. We have a population of over 4 million people from more than 140 countries. They speak 224 different identified languages. And as such, race biases in the city have historically been overt, they have been intentional, highly visible, and unfortunately, we still see these disparities in every sector today in Los Angeles. According to Timothy Wilson, he's a professor of psychology at the University of Virginia, we are confronted as people with about 11 million pieces of information at any given moment. However, our brains can only process about 40 pieces of information at one time. And so in order to compensate for this discrepancy, or rather this discrepancy, our brains compress the decision-making process, which basically means that we make under-informed choices based on imperfect information. And over time, the result is bias. And while bias is a necessary survival trait, it's also ingrained in our interactions with each other, which, as we know, can quickly lead to a lack of diversity, single-minded thinking, discrimination, and hate crime. Today, we see the lingering negative effects of bias and discrimination against Black communities in many of these sectors, including education. The graduation equity gap for students of color has grown to 12.4%. Meanwhile, 17 historically Black colleges and universities face bomb threats. In the media, Black creators have to constantly fight for visibility and credit while they witness their non-Black counterparts skyrocket in popularity by copying their work. Even artificial intelligence software is labeling Black men as primates. When it comes to employment, close to 70% of Black workers who lost their job during the pandemic have yet to be called back to work, and 90% of Black women surveyed reported that their employers were inflexible when it came to accommodating their at-home needs. The unhoused youth in our communities are more likely to be Black, and although government agencies do not collect demographic data on people when they're forced from their homes, what we have seen in our research is that nearly 2/3 of housing displacement, that's as a result of government-approved construction projects, 2/3 of those housing displacements are disproportionately affect Black families. In June 2021, the California Department of Justice released data showing that California hate crimes reached their highest level in a decade. 1,300 hate crimes were reported in 2020. Hate crimes rose against many communities, in fact. including Asian American and Pacific Islanders, Latinos, and transgender Californians. However, by far and away, hate crimes against Black Californians were the highest, increasing 87.7% in 2020 to 456 crimes targeting Black folks. Data out of Los Angeles mirrors this state trend. A recent report by the California State University San Bernardino showed Los Angeles recorded the most hate crimes among large U.S. cities in 2021. Black Angelenos were the most targeted group, rising 91% from 2021 to over 2020, which was already a record high in 2020. And so this amounts to 148 hate crimes in 2021 against the Black community in LA, which is triple their share of the population. Attorney General Rob Bonta was correct when he called hate crime a crisis across the state of California. In Los Angeles, we are fighting this crisis using a multi-layered, victim, community-centered approach, which includes education, outreach, prevention, and resilience. And so the LA Civil Rights Department, we launched the LA for All campaign in 2021 to promote resources for reporting hate and the values of inclusion, belonging, and solidarity. This campaign is the largest in LA's history, running in 18 languages and over 42 ad spaces across the city. And just last week, we welcomed LA Unified School District into the campaign with 70 banners at their schools. Hate crime reporting options included law enforcement and non-law enforcement options. As part of this campaign, we are working with the city's 311 call center, as well as the county's 211 call center to begin intaking hate crime and hate incident reports. Historically, 311 is used by residents to report potholes, debris, and other issues that the city can handle. But now you can call 311 to report a hate act in multiple languages, choose whether or not you want to report to law enforcement, and be contacted with culturally appropriate services from partner organizations like the NAACP of Los Angeles. And family, this is essential for better tracking of hate in LA, as well as greater access to resources from the public. And as I draw near my time, I just want to leave us with these three thoughts. Because the work of this task force is essential in the development of a racial reparations program that addresses hate and hate crimes. And so this task force, I believe, must repair the harms of past biases against the Black community through a reparations program, reshape the public's perception and consciousness through education, prevention, and response that centers the victim and targeted community, and lastly, recruit community partners to align resources and programs to begin peace building and healing. It is essential in LA and in California to make it clear that Black communities are the victims of hate far more than we are the perpetrators, and that this hate has a common thread in racism, othering, and xenophobia. And therefore, responding to hate, it requires solidarity, it requires mutual support and resiliency, not just within communities, but among communities, if we are to build an empowered, multicultural, and multi-ethnic society that everyone can call home. And the remainder of my comments can be found online. Thank you.